And welcome back, everyone, to Quirk Creation Series. Today's Quirk Creation Series comes to us from Parker Smith, who asked, I added this as a twofer because they pretty much would have the same quirk, for obvious reasons, Baki and Yujiro Hanma, respectively. Now, obviously, Baki had inherited his dad's demon back. So, obviously, I felt it was... to not continue to overly use the word obvious. I thought it was obvious that we should basically make the demon back a quirk. Now, can we alter it with Baki? I don't know exactly if we can alter it with Baki or not. We know it's nowhere near as present in Baki as it is. I mean, it's there. He can use it. But Yujiro can just pop it out whenever he wants. Baki kind of needs to mentally and physically get there in order to use it. But he can use it. And we know Jack probably doesn't have it, but it's not impossible. We still just don't know. But in essence, what would their hero/villain names be first and foremost? Well, obviously the ogre is what Yujiro's would be. And I think Yujiro, first off, my hero would be a very interesting place to just throw Yujiro in. Because there are definitely characters that could just straight out beat him. All Might physically could just straight out beat him. There are plenty of characters theoretically physically stronger than him. Gigantomachia. Several other characters. But there's also quirks that are just, he has no protection. He has no protection from Decay, from Overhaul's quirk, from Ares' quirk. But that said, he's so strong and skilled that he does probably clap about 80% of the verse. There's a good solid 20% of the verse that could clap him. But there's a good, I may even go a little farther than say like 70% of the verse he can clap. Because most of these quirks just aren't strong enough to do anything to him. Or the quirks that could affect him, he's skilled enough to not be hurt by. For example, half hot, half cold, theoretically should be able to beat him, but A, no actual guarantee on that just because of how durable that man really is. And B, he's so fast and skilled, he could probably bypass Shoto's defense and just clap him. Just boom, just done. So technically speaking, Shoto should be able to beat him, but he'd probably outright beat Shoto in overall skill and everything along those lines. And keep in mind, I am just referring to Yujiro as he is in the series, his series, not in My Hero with the Demon Back quirk, which Baki, as I said, would also inherit. What would Baki's hero name be? Oni-san? Because Ogre, Oni, all that. I'm not exactly sure what Baki's hero name could be. Or whether or not he'd even have a hero name, per se. But, because, he needs the ability to use it, kind of like Gran Torino, he needs the ability to use a quirk freely, so that's why he goes for his hero license regardless. And so, the question now becomes, what does the Demon Back quirk in the context of My Hero Academia do? Well, to understand what it does in My Hero, I think we need to look back at what it does in Baki. In Baki, the Demon Back, first off, is a genetic trait, and it's the Hanma blood. So it's a what's the best way to put it? It is a symbol of strength, more or less, in their bloodline. But beyond that, when Yujiro activates his Demon Back, he does apparently just completely revitalize himself and unlock a lot more of his body's potential and everything along those lines. So it seems to be, if we're looking at it in the context of a My Hero Academia quirk, it seems to be some sort of enhancement quirk. So Yujiro, I think the base form of the quirk would just be straight physical enhancement outright. Like, you are just physically superior than the average man by a umpteenth degree. Also, we know that, for whatever reason, Yujiro and Baki get stronger every day. The Hanma blood just means they literally are just getting stronger every day without even doing anything or training. Add training on there, now you're hiding your physicality even more, and their bodies can take it. So what this quirk, even before it's awakened, probably does, is it just is a constant physical enhancement quirk till the day you die, more or less. Even though Yujiro, age-wise, I think Yujiro's got to be in his, like, what, 40s or 50s now, I think? Yujiro Hanma. Hold on. How old is Yujiro? I think he's, hold on, age. Let's see here. What is the age of Yujiro Hanma, folks? I'm not finding an age. Hold on, Yujiro Hanma age. Because Baki is only like in his early 20s, I believe, at the beginning of the last arc that just started. Yujiro Hanma age. How old is he? Apparently he's only 37. Huh. It does make sense, though. Jack, he conceived when he was like 16. I think he met Baki's mom about... Ooh, and how old is Jack? And how old's Baki? So, let's see. Baki Hanma age. Baki is... Oh, he's only 18. So he had Baki, what? almost 20 years ago. That's when he had Baki, or when Baki was born, and that's when, so a year prior to that. Okay, so yeah, that would add up, roughly speaking, because that actually means that he was roughly the same age as Baki is now when he had Baki. So yeah, that and Jack was only a few years older than Baki, so that makes sense. But yeah, so that would be, and I think with Yujiro, the quirk is actually the most prominent in Yujiro, despite Baki being as skilled as he is. Baki's still just young. Honestly, if Baki were the same age as Yujiro, there's a good argument that he probably might be stronger than Yujiro, based on how the father-son fight went. Even though Yujiro still walked away with that, he was hurt, but he had been in pain. It sounded like he got kicked in the nuts at one point. He still walked away with that without any real issue, whereas Baki was effed up after that fight, seriously effed. But if Baki had been the same age as his dad when they fought, there's probably a legit argument Baki would have won the fight. But there's just no clear enough evidence. Although based on how well Baki did, the evidence seems to point to that favor. I think, at least in the canon of the My Hero world, just as in the Baki world, Yujiro is the stronger of the two because he's just been around longer and has awoken his quirk. Which, to recap real quick, the unawoken version of this quirk, you kind of have the demon. You can see a demon face on your on the person's back. But it's really just kind of there for general enhancement and long-term enhancement, all that. However, awakening the quirk, using the near-death focus, or whatever it takes to awaken the quirk in this case, well, now you can actively, flex your demon back and not just recover. Now, you're not going to Wolverine heal or anything like that, but completely recover and rejuvenate your stamina, your endurance, all that, everything. You're going to be completely fresh again in the fight. But beyond that, it's pretty much going to push your body now to even farther limits. It's kind of like a Kaioken, but without the strain. It's actually the reverse. And this would just further heighten your strength beyond that point to begin with. And as we know, there are Hanma bloodlines, you keep getting stronger no matter what. So this would also increase your strength even further. Now, I think if a limitation would exist on this, you can't really just spam your demon back. You do have to be in a bit of a state of, all right, I've expended some energy. Now, let me put it this way. You could be fighting for a couple moments, not be really out of breath, and maybe take a punch to the face, and theoretically you can activate the demon back. That's how I think you could rationalize the way this quirk works in the context of My Hero. But yeah, no, the idea is save it for when you really need it. It's just okay, now I'm recovered. Plus I'm now, my strength is now exponentially increased. And beyond that, I think the Demon Back also lets you have finite control over your strength. Kind of like All for One actually does. Not All for One. One for All kind of does. Where, Deku was able to actually minimize due to percentage of your strength. I think this is another quirk that can do that, where you can actually focus on just how much of your strength you're using. Actually, calculate a numerical value for what you're using, and then increase it proportionally. This would be, the quirk for Yujiro and Baki. Like I said, Baki's would not be as effective as his dad's, but this is just because of lack of experience. In terms of how strong Yujiro really would be in the world, like I said, I think you could probably clap about 70% of, if we're factoring Yujiro's physicality as he is in the series, Baki, throw that into my hero and turn his demon back into an actual quirk that does more or less the same thing, but maybe enhanced even further. Most of Class 1A would not be able to beat him, I think. Like I said, I think even though Shoto theoretically could with his ice or fire, Yujiro's so physically fast and capable, he'd first off probably break through ice, no problem. Maybe even be able to guard against the flames without too much difficulty. But beyond that, he could just get within his guard. Bakugo's explosions would be a problem, but again, if he can get within his guard, Bakugo's screwed. Midoriya, he would straight lose to, especially Midoriya as he is now. But Uravity, if he hits Uravity, she's done. She can't do anything about that. Although if she hits him, he can't really stop the fact that she's controlling his gravity. Mina would probably lose. He'd be able to probably resist the acid, even her most concentrated stuff. Even if that did burn a limb off, he would just be smiling and then just take her out. Kirishima would be a little challenging, but Kirishima falls in that category of people who are strong, but I think normal series Yujiro could probably clap him, honestly. Based on some of the stuff we've seen Yujiro pull off. Same with, and I can never remember Sugar Rush's name. He's the one character in Class 1A whose name I always forget. But then let's move it over to the pro hero side of things real quick. All Might could obviously beat him in his prime, or even as we see him at the beginning of the series. Endeavor would be strong enough to beat him. Even if he took a shot from Yujiro, I do believe that it doesn't matter. His flames are so intense that he'd be able to beat him. Mirko, honestly, Mirko would be his kind of woman. He would totally be willing to get it on with Mirko. She's strong, capable, probably could put up a good fight against Yujiro, but I think Yujiro could beat Mirko. And they'd be like, yeah, I'm going to make you my woman now. That's what he would do. Because she's also got a real battle lust that he'd probably just get turned on by. Then there's a lot of the pro heroes we actually don't know. Wishy-Washy, Crest, I think that was his name. We don't really even know what their abilities are. There was that weird samurai guy who we don't even know about. Edge Shot would be unique, but I think Yujiro could definitely beat his ass. Genus would be interesting. Because if he does what he did with the Gigantomachia and using the iron thread cables, then I think he could definitely at least bind Yujiro down. Because as strong as Yujiro is, he's not Gigantomachia All Might levels. Or Midoriya levels. So because of that, because I was able to pin him down, I'd be able to pin Yujiro down. Again, provided he actually gets a shot in on him, because Yujiro is also extremely fast, quick, and very insightful and intelligent, and not stupid enough half the time to get caught. Usually he's got, just fully aware of things. But anyway, I'm just, spitballing here right now. And he would not be able to take on Shigaraki or anything like that. I think if you're talking about, the end arc we're in right now, where villains and heroes are going all out and people are dying, I think Yujiro would be looking at this for a little while on the sidelines, seeing some villains, seeing some people. And I think he would actually dislike the villains for what they're doing. Because unlike him, who he believes himself to be the strongest creature on the planet, here in this world, he would know he's not the strongest creature on the planet. And because of that, I think he'd be put a little bit more in his place. But he'd be so strong still that most people wouldn't F with him. And because of that, I think he would lean actually a little bit more towards the hero side of things. He would work with authorities. He just says, let's just make sure I get a good fight out of it, and we're good. He's kind of like that guy, Kirishima and Fat Gum fought. I can't remember his name. But during the overhaul arc. But anyway, I digress. So this is what I think the quirk for Baki and Yujiro would be. A quirk version of the Demon Back. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you agree with this or do you disagree with this? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.